This is going to be the first episode of the Dog and Pony Show. It's finally here. None of you have been expecting it, but here it is anyway. My name is Josh. This is my brother Kyron. A little bit about me. I am from Georgia, from right outside of Athens. I was born a Georgia fan. When you're born into it, you don't really have a choice. You know, you hate Florida, you hate Auburn, you hate Tennessee. You love the Dogs, you love the red and black. I was blessed to be born into being a Georgia fan. It kind of sucked for like the first 27 years of my life. We would get so close and blow it. However, as you can see here, Georgia went back to back. They're the only team to do it in the college football playoff era. Ever since Coach Smart has taken over the program, it's just been great.
My name's Kyron. I have been born in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I've been a Sooner fan as long as I can remember. Before I could probably talk, honestly. I was born into it. I've been an OU fan since the beginning. We've gone through a lot of ups and a lot of downs. We've had the national championship in 2000, and then we can get to the big game and choke. A little bit more about me, being a Sooner fan. It's the best thing in the world because it's always a topic anywhere you go in Oklahoma and anywhere when you travel throughout the state. You always know you're gonna run into an OU fan. If you're like me, I wear my OU stuff when I leave the state. When I'm in the state, it doesn't matter. We've had a lot of heartbreak the last few years, especially with that Rose Bowl against Georgia.
Sorry, man.
But you know what? We're still Sooner fans, and we're going to enjoy this first year in the SEC. We're going to see how it goes from there.
What are some of the best memories for you as an OU fan in recent history?
It's probably going to be when Brent Venables was hired. I think getting over stinking Lincoln was probably the best thing that could have happened to OU, especially heading into the SEC.
Yeah.
Plus, landing big-time recruits like Jackson Arnold. Everyone thought we would never make, five-star quarterbacks come back to OU after Lincoln Riley left. That's big time. Just going down memory lane, you've got great teams that we've had just unable to win the ship. Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Heisman winners. They led our team, just couldn't win the big game. I think with Jackson Arnold at the helm and Venables in that stingy defense, there's a chance.
Left out Jalen Hurts.
It's true.
As a Georgia fan, he broke my heart several times, but I love Jalen Hurts. The kid is a baller, and I love watching him succeed at the next level. Shameless plug to the state of Georgia. Jackson Arnold, five-star quarterback. I know he's technically out of Denton, Texas. That's where he played his high school ball. He's from Swanee, Georgia. Some of my favorite memories in recent history being a Georgia fan, without a doubt, witnessing my first national title. Before Keely Ringo had that spectacular pick six to just cap off the win against Alabama, our last national title was in 1980. And I had to go my whole life hearing Georgia hasn't won anything since 1980. That was all laid to rest thanks to Stetson Bennett, a walk-on. Nobody wanted him. The Georgia fans didn't want him. The Georgia coaches didn't want him. He proved himself, and he will forever be a DGD. And for those of you that don't know, that means a damn good dog. Stetson Bennett is just a truly incredible story, and it is so crazy to me that we were able to bring in a kid like him, Javon Bullard, Ladd McConkey, Tay Crowder, and so many other countless recruits that other schools were not high on. Most of them, not Tay Crowder, unfortunately, most of those kids won at a minimum one national title. Most of them went back to back together. I loved all of those kids that we had over the span of those 2 years. Absolute ballers.
I think you left something out about Stetson Bennett, though. Didn't he leave the Georgia program and then come back, and then he balled out?
Yeah, so again, it kind of goes back to nobody wanting him. He was a walk-on. He didn't get any playing time. I mean, at the time, we had Jake Fromm, we had Justin Fields, we had Jacob Eason. We had all these elite kids on our roster, and he was never going to see the field. That's just an unfortunate part of the game. Not everybody gets playing time, and that's just how it is. So he transferred out, went to JUCO. I believe he won a national title at JUCO. Back check me. And then he almost didn't even come back to Georgia. I learned this the other day on a podcast. He almost went to Louisiana Monroe.
Huh.
So before he transferred back to Georgia to be the backup again, he almost went to Louisiana Monroe. But Coach Smart called him and was like, hey man, you need to tell us. Like, are you coming or are you not? Because we're going to sign this other kid. And he was like, respectfully, you're going to have to give me like a day or so. The rest is history. He came to Georgia, back-to-back national champion, Heisman finalist. I believe he won the Bullsworth Award trophy for the best walk-on. Just, again, truly unbelievable. Stetson Bennett, if you ever watch this, thank you. All right, so that was all of the good stuff, the fun stuff. Let's bring it back to center here. What are some of your memories in recent history that are the worst ones being an OU fan?
Besides the OU Georgia Rose Bowl, I think you got to go back to when OU lost the Fiesta Bowl to Boise State. I remember staying up as a kid on a school night, watching that game in the living room. I made a pallet in the floor, and I just start crying after, I believe his name was Ian Johnson, goes right into the end zone untouched and wins that game in overtime.
That was a Statue of Liberty play, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And then he proposed right after. Congratulations.
Yeah, and they're still married.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's probably the worst ever feeling. And as a little kid, how you go to sleep after something like that and go to school the next day? It was terrible.
Yeah, that's a complete dagger straight to the heart. Now I got to be honest with you, man. I still watch the highlights from that game sometimes. They just randomly pop up, and it is so frustrating.
Oh yeah.
And I cannot imagine what was going through the OU fans' headspace to just watch that game be choked away like that. Now, props to Boise State, but dang.
Yeah, and now we don't ever hear anything from them. It was their time to shine. They proved it. OU is riding high. Then we lose to a Group of 5 school.
You know, a historic matchup would be whatever year that was. Sorry, I don't know off the top of my head. That team versus 2017 UCF for a fake national title.
Yeah. I think I'd probably give the edge to Central Florida. I think that team was more talented overall.
They had a good team.
But Boise State had grit. That's why they won at the end. I think OU just got too into the, hey, we're OU, we're going to just slap these guys around, and ended up happened Uno reverse to them and ultimately lose that game.
Yeah, that's tough, man.
So I got a question for you. What's the worst moment in recent history for Georgia?
Most recent, the one that really sticks out is obviously losing in the SEC championship to Bama. I am not going to sit here and blame the refs. There are so many fans from every fan base, not just Georgia, not just OU, so many fans from every fan base that want to point the finger at the officiating, and that is their golden ticket for why their team lost. It did not help Georgia's case, but Georgia did not help themselves. I hate to say it, it was just a classic Kirby Smart versus Nick Saban. Nick Saban is the greatest of all time, and the amount of respect that Coach Smart has for him, hear me out, just a hypothetical. If you are Coach Smart and you have the opportunity to blow out the GOAT, are you? Are you gonna blow him out? Now, again, I am not saying that we were ever in a position to just smack them with a 40 piece. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
But there are so many games where Georgia had a comfortable lead. They got complacent. They held back on what they were doing originally, and it bit them in the butt, and we lost.
Yeah.
Right? So I just feel like the respect that Coach Smart had for Nick Saban just didn't really help our case. And all the props to Bama. I hate giving props to Bama, but in all of those tough, close games, they found ways to win. That's what champions do. Just like Georgia miraculously winning against Ohio State. We should have lost that game, but champions find ways to win, not ways to lose. Moving past that, other terrible moments for me is the Sugar Bowl loss to Texas. Texas still isn't back. I do not care if they made it to the college football playoff. There's only one team from the Big 12 that has a win in the college football playoff, and it's TCU. And Georgia beat them. Most lopsided bowl game ever, right up until Georgia broke their own record and smacked Florida State back and forth for a 60-point win. There is one more that really sticks out that I cannot stand. I do not understand how Georgia lost this game. Again, I'm not going to blame officiating. Officiating did not help. There was a roughing the passer call that was called in this game that was kind of the nail in the coffin, and it was not roughing the passer. There were so many bad penalties in this game. Georgia didn't help themselves, and Hot Rod missed a field goal in this game. The dude was automatic. He never missed. Hot Rod is the reason that we won the Rose Bowl. He hit a 54 or 55 yarder going into half. The dude is clutch. But when we lost to South Carolina at home, which by the way, that is our last home loss, and that was in 2018.
Yeah, it's been a while.
That game, it just bugs me. Like to this day, it bugs me. I never worry about losing to South Carolina, and I wasn't worried then. But Georgia didn't show up. Our team didn't show up. Our fans didn't show up, and we lost. You can never take any team for granted in the SEC, period. As of recent history, that's all that I got. Was there anything else that came to mind after all that?
Yeah, so I think back, OU against Baylor in Waco, Jalen Hurts as your quarterback. I think we were still trying to figure out some kinks. I don't know what the deal was in the first half. We just did not show up in Waco. The true fans kept that game on, and I was one of them. I know my dad went to sleep. He was like, yeah, forget this, it's over. And then to come back away, and on top of that, an Alex Grinch interception. You know, Alex Grinch's defense didn't get turnovers. Nick Benito drops the first one and gets redemption on the second one, the next play, and you seal it. I mean, that game, we should not have even been in that game, but we found a way. Like you said earlier, good teams find a way to win the big games or win in general, and we found a way to win that game.
Why are you still a fan? I know you were born into it, but like, what brings you back every single year with that fire that every fan has? But what is it for you being an OU fan? What does OU do that gets you so excited for the upcoming season?
Being there, that's part of it. Being able to experience Norman, usually once or twice a year for me, it's electric, you know, and just watching those games too, you feel a part of it, especially now that we got Venables a part of this program, back I should say, after him leaving for Clemson. I don't blame him. Obviously he's got some national titles under his belt, but now he brings that national championship pedigree back with him to Norman. Hopefully he's going to win us one. But you feel a part of the team. You get to experience the tailgating. You get to experience the other OU fans who are just as big as you, all in one place. The bond that you get from just being in the stands or having a party at your house. You know, it's all about family. It's all about being a part of Sooner Nation. You feel that. That's why I'm still a fan. Even though we have down years, it sucks. But these good years as of late, you know, we're winning ball games. There's a couple of, you know, last year we were 2 wins away from being in the Big 12 championship game. We had no business. You know, Venables is still learning. I'm still going to be a fan. You know, this year it's going to be, you know, it's easy to be excited this year, you know, going to the SEC for the first time.
Yeah, man.
But you got to find a way to win. And I think the fans are going to be a part of that. Obviously, the players are the ones who make the plays. They put in the time. They have to know the playbook. But we get to see that. Being at the game, seeing that on TV, seeing the communication. I could talk about this all day long.
Yeah, man, that's fair. You bring up some really good points. Being down in Norman on game day is like nothing else. I'm a Georgia fan. I was born in Georgia, right outside of Athens. We didn't really have money to go to games. I never had the privilege to go to a Georgia game. Still haven't been to one. However, now that I live here in Oklahoma City, life is good. I've been to a handful of OU events. One thing that I can 100% say with complete confidence about the University of Oklahoma is that they're all in. And I understand that is their 2024 motto going into the SEC is be all in. OU is all in. Their fans are all in. The team is all in. The coaches are all in. The university is all in. I love OU. I love the University of Oklahoma. When I went to that TCU game with you on Black Friday, of all days for a game, and we watched just an offensive juggernaut in OU going up against a terrible TCU team. This TCU team, almost 12 months before this, was getting blown out by Georgia in the national title game. And then they ended up winning 5 games. It was terrible. I hated it for the program. Yeah. But dude, being in the stands at that game, it was so electric. And It was my first one. I don't understand half the stuff going on in the stadium, and I'm still trying to learn, dude. But oh my Lord, when everyone is holding up ones at kickoff and going, oh, you, it is very, very similar to what I hear from the Georgia crowd saying, go Dawg, sick 'em on kickoff. I understand that each team has their own thing. Being at Owen Field and experiencing that and absorbing all of this just truly electric energy from the fans, the players. Dude, the sideline was full of undersized, underprivileged players that nobody wanted. And they're suited up in crimson and cream. They're not taking the field, but they are keeping the fans in it.
Yep.
And those kids deserve so much respect. To all of the kids that are under-recruited, keep doing everything that you are doing. You play such a huge part, and you're not going to get a lot of respect from everyone. Not a lot of people pay attention to the small details. That's what I had to do for 7 years of my life, is really focus and dial in on very small attention to detail things. All of the kids out there that are walk-ons, preferred walk-ons, you don't got scholarship, you're struggling to make it through, keep doing what you're doing. You are so appreciated by me, whatever that's worth. Everything that happens in Norman is just truly electric. And one of my favorite memories from some of the events that I've been to at that field is the fan chant.
Yep.
I was raised to hate OU. And boy, I can hate really good. But again, after being there and witnessing everything the University of Oklahoma stands for, I absolutely love the program. I am so glad and I'm thankful that I get to be a part of it, because man, they just do it right.
Boomer.
Sooner.